Hey, and welcome to A Game for Your Thoughts. So this is a new series that I've done. So it's the history of a game, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of talk about the making of a game, and then the influence that it had on the industry as a whole. So for this first episode, I want to talk about Metroid from 1986. So, Metroid is a sci-fi action-adventure game created by Nintendo for the NES. Its initial release was on the Famicom in Japan on August 6, 1986. The game was met with huge acclaim for its unique design and the character Samus. From there, the series slowly progressed and expanded on the concept of the original game. The series itself and the character Samus reaching huge fame and success, spanning several sequels and appearances in all types of pop culture. The game has sold millions of copies and has gone down in history as a Nintendo classic. The development of Metroid began with developers Yoshio Sakamoto and Hidoji Kiyotake as they were asked to make a game following the success of the Famicom in Japan. They wanted to set out and make something different than Mario. Their main goal was to make a game that was so different than the basic platformer we had seen up to that point. Sakamoto actually joined its development in its last 3 months. For the most part, the game was made by a handful of people working at their own pace. In an interview with Nintendo, Kiyotake was quoted when asked about his game development experience. "We had none at all. At the time, we were just thinking about how we could make it an enjoyable game. The small team didn't want to make a game for game's sake, they just wanted to make a fun game." When coming up with the character of Samus, they wanted to find ways that would make her move different than any other video game character to that point, even to the point that most of the game files were made up of movement animations for Samus. While at the end of development, most of these were toned down for the aesthetic and design choices. The name of the character came from Kiyotake mistaking the real name of soccer player Pele. The choice to make Samus a girl came late in development, when they decided to make different endings depending on how fast to beat the game, and it just randomly happened that someone suggested she be a girl, even though throughout the manual, the game referred to Samus as he. The game ended up changing a lot in the gaming industry and going down as a video game classic. The impact that Metroid has had on the gaming industry is one that has done more than bring us the character of Samus, but a whole new way to play games. At the time, the biggest games were the original Donkey Kong, Super Mario Bros., and The Legend of Zelda. Most games have been 2D linear adventures. The Legend of Zelda, which came out the same year as Metroid, 1986, had begun to show that video games could be more than what we had seen. Zelda introduced many new things such as nonlinear progression, permanent upgrades, and even a save system that didn't need a password. But Metroid added several other things to video games that had never been seen before. That's the tone, atmosphere, open level design, and the feeling that the player got from playing. The tone that Metroid was set out to was have a feeling of loneliness and horror. The movie of Alien had a major influence on the game. If you ever seen the movie, you know the isolated horror that the movie presents, and the designers of Metroid wanted to put this feeling into a video game. They wanted something new and different from Mario, and this was it. Using the tone of loneliness and isolation, Metroid gave players a far different tone from the upbeat Mario or the heroic Legend of Zelda. While Zelda changed a lot, Metroid did something similar in a different way. Zelda put you in an open world to explore, to adventure, and save the princess, but Metroid puts us in a dark, lonely, and creepy place. There are no characters to hand us the morph ball and say, "It's dangerous to go alone, take this." You just find it. No explanation, no characters to help guide you, just a ball and a large map to explore and find your way out. This change in tone from Zelda and Mario is shown in the music as well. You start up Zelda and hear the heroic first lines of the music of its score, and Metroid drops you in a dark, creepy, and mellow soundtrack greets you. Dark tones and dark colors. It was so dark and awesome. It was like me in the 9th grade. You aren't given much instruction either. Kill the Metroids and Mother Brain. That's it. The super dark tone and atmosphere was nothing the gaming industry had seen. It was all happy and the music was always catchy and bright, but Metroid was dark and scary. It almost makes you hesitate to push that start button. After the intro screen, you're met with the dark world. It's all made of blues and blacks, and you instantly have some monsters to fight. Creepy little 8-bit spikes that crawl on walls. It was so creepy and intimidating. Right off the bat, you know this isn't going to be some heroic adventure with a princess waiting for you at the end. There aren't going to be Goombas to stomp on, a monkey throwing barrels at you, or even nice old ladies to sell you overpriced potions. Just a dark world you know you have to explore, all by yourself with these scary monsters. The open world of Metroid was something far different than the open world of Zelda. Zelda was the first game to introduce us to open worlds. That world was large and had several different places to explore, and finding the dungeons from 1 to 8. Metroid didn't have that. It had its dark planet that was dark and creepy. There were no specific locations to find, no sense of direction, just a large map that had plenty of secrets and places to explore. While exploring, you would come across places that were different, but you didn't have any abilities to get you through this area, so you would move on. Then you would later find an upgrade that once you learned it, would be instantly remembered all the places you've seen that mechanic that it would be needed. Then you would have to go backtrack to locate these places and use your new upgrade. This had never been seen before. Everything up to this point had been from like point A to point B. But now you had to go to point A to point D, then back to B, then maybe to point Q, then back to D because you saw something you couldn't do before. It was something so new and revolutionary that gaming had even never seen before. Even so, that Castlevania Symphony of the Night came to because of this style and many others to be known as Metroidvania, a unique style of gameplay type that has become common with time. Games like Axiom Verge, Cave Story, and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night were all influenced by Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. The style of exploration and finding new ways to access previously blocked areas all started with Metroid. We even see hints of this in style in games like Batman Arkham series. Metroid was the start of this whole new way to play games, and it shows how much of an influence that this style played out in future games that has become its own named style. You know that one kid who always had their headphones in walking down the hall, or that feeling you get when you realize you don't have a cell phone service in the woods? That was the feeling of isolation and loneliness that Metroid made you feel. And this is what the developers wanted. Many games use a lot of these things now, but Metroid was the first game to do so. And it changed how we played the game. You never had anyone at any point to point you in the right direction. There was only you and the monsters that would soon disappear at the hands of your 8-bit hand cannon. Everything was against you, the player, and it made you feel alone, isolated, and maybe even scared. Metroid changed the way that players felt during the game. You weren't a hero on an adventure to save a girl. This time you were the girl, and you were fighting to survive. Speaking of which, Samus being a girl changed a lot and was a huge deal at the time. Up to this point, the girl had always been the one needed saving, and the twist at the end that Samus was a girl changed the way women were portrayed. We had felt like a badass the whole game, thinking it was an awesome dude bounty hunter, only to find out it was a girl. The ending was shocking and even more satisfying. Now this woman was the badass, and it didn't make you think less of the game. It was like, oh, I thought I was a dude, but oh well, bummer. It was more like, holy shit, I'm a girl. Dude, that's so cool. Samus is such a badass. It changed a lot and paved the way for characters like Lara Croft. Even though they took a more sexualized route with future characters, it's fine by me. But Samus was never sexualized. Even in her Zero suit, she still holds a strong persona that was nothing like the crop top and short shorts Lara Croft wore. This twist, I would argue, is one of the greatest in gaming history as it comes out of nowhere and was accepted by the public as awesome. The impact and influence that Metroid left on the gaming industry as a whole is still seen to this day. Even over 30 years later, Metroid is a Nintendo icon and is played by many. With Metroid Prime 4 coming in the near future, the series is far from over. What started as a game made by a few people that wanted to make something different has changed the way we play games, and it has influenced and changed many things to follow. So that's the history of Metroid and its influence on the gaming industry. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought down below. And while you're down there, also hit the subscribe, the like, and the bell to get notified every time I post a new video. That would be great. And if there's any other games you want to see me talk about, just let me know, and I'd be happy to see what I can do for you. So thank you so much for watching A Game for Your Thoughts, and we'll catch you on the next one.